Rolling. Thank you. We actually have a professional with us tonight, Jane Craggs, who actually is a professional, but she's a professional yoga teacher from Manchester. So this is it. We've done our 10-day program with the Mohans. I'm really curious to get the thoughts of Fiona, who was with us on day 4, and we're really blessed to have Jane with us tonight. So we'll go to Jane first, if she doesn't mind, and share how the program's been for her. That's Jane. Well done, Nick.
Okay, so it has been really amazing, goes without saying, but I think what's been really special about it for me is the way that it's been very intentional to offer us practices that we can all do at home and in our day-to-day lives, and in a way that is accessible for everybody, because out of all those people there's quite a lot of variety of experience and ages and where they are in their life right now and all of that, and so that's what I took away from it, I think, is that feeling.
Yeah, I think the first thing that ever attracted me to the Mohans when I read their book on Krishnamacharya, and he says yoga should be adapted to the individual and not the individual adapted to yoga, and that was different from many other yoga practices where everybody was trying to do exactly the same thing with exactly the same amount of times, exactly the same amount of time in a day that you would do it. And this practice is really designed to allow the individual access to the practice. And Jane, you've been with the Mohans for how long?
Coming up to 16 years, but it just feels like yesterday that I first studied with them. Just feels like, a minute.
And this program compared to other programs?
You know, every time you study with the Mohans, they've evolved and refined and, moved. They come at the same practices, if you like, but from lots of different directions, because their practice is changing and evolving, and also they're very conscious of the people that they're teaching and the situation we're in right now in the world. And there's a lot of thought that goes in. You can tell there's a lot of deep thought that goes into what they do to offer us something that is essentially and potentially really simple. And so each time I study with them, I'm just aware of more nuance and more layers, but also there's that baseline of steadiness and simplicity never goes away. It's always there.
Yeah, it sounds a little cheesy, but like the end destination for all of us is the same, but the route for each of us is slightly different, So I'm curious, we've also got Fiona and Nick here, and this is her first time meeting the Mohans, first time doing a program with the Mohans. So let's hear what Fiona has to say.
Thank you. It's been quite an incredible experience, and I think I've got a lot of processing to do and a lot of thinking and reflecting to do. There's been a phenomenal amount of information passed over by the Mohans to the group over the last 10 days, and it's just so evident their wisdom and the depth of their knowledge is undescribable, and their keenness and their willingness to pass that on and sort of spread the word of Svasta yoga. And I think that this program, so Yoga for Inner Strength, they talked about just again this morning the fact that our minds are in sort of this constant fluctuation, which very early in the sutras they talk about as well, in the Yoga Sutras, and the fact that the mind can be different on different days. Some days you're in a state of more sort of mental chaos, and other days maybe you're feeling a bit steadier, and acknowledging that within yourself and accepting that do know there's differences on different days, but I think this program's given us so many, or given me certainly so many tools that help to identify the state that you're in, how you're feeling, and then tools to use to help bring that sort of state of mind back to a calmer place. Pass you to Nick.
Yes, so big word I use would say is I think a yoga practice can give people hope. Because I think we all have dark days. Everybody has dark days. People I've met have dark days. Emotions have dark, we all get clouded with those emotions, and the river of that stream of consciousness can get in the way. But I think Mohanji and Indraji were really emphasizing that everybody can practice yoga. If you can breathe, you can do yoga. So you can access the sunlight, you can access the brightness and the lightness of your body and your mind. And you can get, it sounds a bit poetical, free from the shackles of your mind. You are more than your mind, which I think is true. But all you need to see is just one shaft of sunlight, and you'll be fine. That comes from a psychologist somewhere in the West, but it's also true in the East. I think once you get a sense of that balance and a sense of lightness and a sense of steadiness with your practice, whatever that practice is, it becomes meaningful, and then you start to listen and trust to what you know is right. And that's a really important point. So yes, there were some very complex issues. Complex ideas, I need to go away and process them. But as Mohan said, if it doesn't feel right or if it's not working for you, you go away and you try something else. I can't tell you your practice for you, which is a really important point, actually, which is why you do need the connection with good teachers. That's the hard bit. I've always said that's a really difficult bit. And so I think we're very extremely fortunate to have people, the Mohans, who have a lineage of practice and knowledge. That's centuries old, actually. You can actually track back centuries old.
Yeah, the thing that's amazing is to watch them recall, almost like calling up a file in your mind.
Yeah.
When they're going to discuss something, and Mohanji just starts chanting something that's in there somewhere, so he can remind himself of what he wants to say. And I have never seen that. Like I have never seen many other human beings who can just call up like a file in your mind to go, I'm going to teach about this, but I need to refresh my mind of what the Bhagavad Gita or the Yoga Sutras or something from the Mahabharata or Ramayana says, and you're just watching it. Because it really, like Jane's saying, and actually we're all saying, is this was such a mixed group. We had like academics, we had people who are from India, we had people from all over the world, mixture ages, not very young people. I think it's kind of tricky to come and do this, and maybe as a really young person, like maybe 19, 20. But I think there's something for everybody. There's definitely practices that I know I can adapt and take home to the guys in the rehabs that I work with. So the guys who maybe have never heard of yoga and don't have any like mental steadiness or mental self-belief in themselves. But there's definitely practices from these 10 days that I'm like, you know what, here's something really simple. I'm just going to drop it into you. And it might be planting a seed that they take and eventually transforms their life, Any other thought? But actually, let's get some kind of like final thoughts on the whole week. I think one of the things that Mohanji said is when he was talking about Krishnamacharya, or I've got this quote from Krishnamacharya, is yoga is not mechanical. And I'd said earlier, I thought this was always kind of like a physical thing, like we're not mechanical as we move, but actually the practice mentally is not mechanical. We're looking to refresh and stay fresh, with this bhava coming up, that we feel more steady and more aware and more light and more bright. So that for me was really a breakthrough. Fiona?
Of all the things I could choose to say, it's tricky to pick out one single thing, but I think I'm going to say mantra, and the sort of use of mantra, whether, chanting on its own and the sort of chanting within a group has been amazing and something I've never really experienced certainly to that scale before. But also the use of mantra in my individual practice, so within my asana practice or my pranayama practice, and whether it's spoken out loud or said internally, has been really, I've been surprised how powerful that's felt for me. So that's my sort of one sort of takeaway that I'll take from this.
My takeaway, the one thing that is probably the most powerful, is the way that every single day we have created integrated experiences, either based on mantra and then the internal feeling, and how being here with this group, with the Mohans, obviously in this place, being able to go out and see the sun and the sea and create the bhavas, these experiences that we can call back again and again, so that when we're at home practicing, and like Nick said, if it's a dark day or it just feels like it's a bit of a slog, because it's near, it's easy just to pull that in and to do that practice and to recall it in every domain of yourself. And the nearer the bhavas are, the more you can kind of dig them deep and get it really ingrained in yourself. So having lots of fresh new bhavas is my takeaway.
Got one. Oh. I've got one, Jane. It's okay. It's fine. This is going to sound a bit cheesy, but it's not. A kind of big kind of bit Bob Marley, looking over there. But yeah, yoga is a peace movement. It's a Shanti movement. It's an access to your own peace, and you share that peace. And I do believe that people know when someone's practicing without them saying that they're practicing, that they're doing something different. There's something about people who are practicing that when Indra walks into the room, you go, yeah, there's something steady about her. And you know what? I think that's accessible to everybody. But yeah, yoga is a peace movement. Your movement, I can't help it. But yeah, I think that's the thing. But once you've accessed it here, you share it, and it's something that will come out. I think that's a really important point for these days, particularly.
Yeah. It's just one final thought. So we're in the room where we studied with the Mohans, and I think for them there was a bhava of teaching again. And the feeling of teaching again, the feeling of being in the room. And we haven't been in the room together for 5 years with the Mohan, and neither have they. And I think they have coped with Zoom and teaching online, but they're born to be in the room with their students.
Yep.
So that's us.
We're done.
Guys, thank you so much. 10 days here. Thanks so much. Behind the camera is Nadia, who has been the most unbelievable support to the Mohans while we've been here. So thanks,
She's
Nadia.
been great.
She's been great.
Thanks, Nadia.
Bye. Bye.